Welcome to Full Steam Ahead. I'm your co-host Gary Siegel, and this is my wife, Judy Siegel, and we represent the S in STEAM Fund, the Siegel Trust Enriching Arts and Music. Our mission is to support musicians, artists, and the venues where they share their gifts. The Hudson Valley has long been a magnet for incredible musicians, and through Full Steam Ahead, we get to share the stories behind the artists who inspire us. Today's episode is especially meaningful for us. Our guest is singer-songwriter, producer, and community builder, Miranda Hardy. And this conversation truly feels full circle. Miranda grew up just down the street from us in Liberty, New York, and spent many of her middle and high school years in our home. She's one of our daughter Georgia's closest friends, and watching her grow into the artist and leader she is today has been incredibly special. Miranda is the daughter of legendary folk musician and fast folk founder Jack Hardy, and acclaimed radio host and Folk Alliance Hall of Famer Angela Page. After a successful decade-long career in advertising, she made the courageous decision to return fully to music. Her debut album, Reverie, introduced her voice as both witty and vulnerable, and her latest album, The Price of Happiness, explores authenticity, ambition, and the trade-offs we all face when choosing our own path. Beyond recording and performing, Miranda builds creative community through songwriting nights, leads songwriting workshops for families impacted by cancer through Theater Within, and continues the tradition of song circles that shaped her upbringing, reimagined for today. So before we dive in, we'd love for you to join our community. To learn about the STEAM Fund, visit steamfund.org, like our social media pages, follow us on Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share these episodes with your friends. It's the best way to keep the music and the conversations going. So without further ado, welcome Miranda Hardy.
Thank you.
To Full Steam Ahead.
Welcome, Miranda Hardy. And I just want to say, we started to talk earlier. The first image in my mind of Miranda Hardy in my life was as a little girl. We think she was about 4 or 5 years old, in this little blonde girl with this white outfit and a broomstick singing for a talent show at the Liberty Elementary School, singing Castle on a Cloud. And I thought, that is just a little angel. What an amazing talent and brave young lady. It's like, who is that girl? We want to know her. And now you're in our life, so that makes me very happy. But I always... There's a part of my mind that thinks of that when I think of you, Miranda, of this image of this adorable little angel with blonde hair and a white dress and this broom singing Castle on a Cloud from Les Mis.
So
it was
funny.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think brave is right. I don't know about talent yet, but
Talent, too.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Yes, we always wanted you not to forget the little people, you know.
That's right. And she was one of the little people, very
Yes.
little people.
yes.
So, moving forward, this is the question we ask each of our guests. What do you want people to know about Miranda Hardy and your music?
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah, I guess I want people to know that I really wasn't a musician. I didn't consider myself a musician until fairly recently. I really didn't grow up loving it. I took violin lessons. I was kind of surrounded by music in my family, but I love to listen to music, but this was really like a late moment for me to kind of connect with the writing process. So I think that's probably the funnest fact about my musical career. But I really didn't approach it to be a career, and it wasn't very linear, me getting into music, but it's been fun.
Okay.
So you have quite a family, musical heritage. Your father, Jack, his legacy that he had through the folk music network there, and then your mom, Angie, also in folk music. And so how has their legacy impacted your songwriting and your career?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because I wasn't really inspired to write songs until a later age, that I really have to reflect on how they impacted me, because my dad was kind of long gone when I started writing songs. Oh, well, I think he heard a couple silly songs I wrote as a child, but nothing
He didn't really hear your talent.
It wasn't really me trying to find my voice as a songwriter. It was me trying to make people laugh, which was, in a way, finding my voice. But I think it was interesting because I found my father's songwriting manifesto, which was incomplete. He didn't complete it, unfortunately, but it was really inspiring to me in a moment in my life when I kind of had left creativity on the back burner in so many ways. And I just kind of started writing a song a week because of the manifesto. And I would really just send voice memos to my sister. She was my only audience. I would just be like, listen to this one. And she was so supportive and really kind of just supported me in so many ways, just like verbal validation, and also just coming over when she had free time to like sing harmonies with me and just kind of figure out how a song might be edited. So I think like my dad really, ironically, 10 years later, kickstarted my writing journey.
Why don't you talk a little bit more about your dad? And if I remember, you went across the pond with him at some point?
Spent some time in Ireland.
Yeah. We'd go to Ireland annually when everyone else was going to like Aruba or Florida. It was like New Year's Eve, we're on a plane to Ireland, and I'm like, it's cold, it's wet, why are we going? And he would force me to bring my violin, which at the time I really disliked playing. Now I actually just relearned how to play the violin because I miss it. But I think, when you're young and you feel forced to do things, it's less fun. But we'd go to Ireland and we'd travel pub to pub and play in the pub. And
pub crawling.
Yeah, it was pub, I don't know, pub caroling? I don't know. But yeah, it was great because they would just kind of give us free food and my dad free Guinness. And
that was in the 80s? That was...
No, I mean, oh God, you're trying to age me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was in the early 2000s.
I mean, I think the first time I went, I might have been like in 7th grade, maybe 6th grade, and we went up until 2011 annually. So it was like, at least 8 years of my life I'm going to Ireland. Yeah, it's great.
So today, jumping way forward, how do you think that that's influencing you in what you're doing today? And do you reach into the community that he was a part of, the folk community that he was a part of? It's kind of like a loaded question in a lot of ways, but I think like the travel really influenced my writing and the way that I approach production, because I think I just kind of naturally took like a more folky style than like a pop style, even if my writing melodic instincts or chord progressions felt poppy. Like my production is very folk, very like, I've written several Irish songs at this point, if you can call it that.
What are some of those songs?
So I was really determined to write an Irish folk song, but unfortunately it came out as a drinking song. So I wrote a song called Trapped in an Irish Drinking Song. And then recently I wrote the Guinness song because I just really love Guinness, and unfortunately I can't drink it because of gluten allergy. But
life's a drag.
Spoiler alert, I tend to drink it from time to time. So
and if somebody wanted to actually look up those really fun songs, they could look up Irish Drinking Song, Miranda Hardy, and they could find that.
Yes,
right?
There's some pretty silly music videos for them on the internet.
We'll put a link on the descriptions too.
But when it comes to like that community that my father and my mother was a huge part of kind of building, they had a speakeasy in the city. I think we're approaching like the 45th annual year of that opening. But they had so many musicians that they would book at the speakeasy. And then my father had this kind of song circle that, for decades, people would come to his apartment and they would workshop songs.
That was before you were even born, right?
Before I was born, and then, a big part of my life in a way growing up, because my father would travel to the city every Monday, literally every single week. He would have a new song to present at this meeting. But, now that I started playing, it's not that I'm really like in that group. I don't go to those meetings. They're still going on, which I'm very impressed with. But I think just the impression that group made on me, I've kind of taken that as like fuel to do the same thing and with my peer group. Or just kind of like my community, not even necessarily my peers. We have like a very wide range of age group that gather in the city now to play music, and so I think it's like, in a way, I feel connected to that community, but I'm not really like,
It's interesting because we fall upon people who knew your father, or back in the day. Between Joe Raiola, who's the executive artistic director of Theater Within, which we're going to talk a little bit about later on. Suzanne Vega, who was just in the tribute, the John Lennon tribute recently, was also part of that circle of
Right.
folk songwriters, I believe, and many others. And then we have JFF. Where I know
It's
there
our
was
local public
we
radio.
actually walked into the radio station the other day, and there were albums, your father's albums.
Yeah.
that were
Somebody
sitting
brought
out.
in a bunch of Jack Hardy albums. It was like, oh, Jack Hardy, we feel connected.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then, so let's go to your mother, though. We certainly don't want to leave her out because, especially locally, and she probably has a broader reach than I'm even aware of, she's very involved in the folk community too, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's been a huge inspiration from like a community building aspect. I mean, she was a huge part of the fast folk years, and I think she technically was the one who founded the Speakeasy. She was the one who was booking it, and she was a huge part of building that community and just making it kind of seamlessly run from like behind the scenes. And, I think now she's got her radio show that she's had since the 80s. She calls it Folk Plus, and she does these themed shows, which are really inspiring to me because I think a lot of writers are like, oh, I had this idea, but you know what, it's been done before. And her themed shows kind of show you, I mean, one idea can be executed a thousand ways.
Right.
And in fact, like, even as a writer, you can write the same idea 8 million times, and it's a different song every time. So.
And is her show just broadcast on the local public radio station, or is it syndicated, or?
A little bit in the way she also has it play on something called Folk Music Notebook, which is a great folk show that's, I think it's all digital now. So there's a website, folkmusicnotebook.com. Don't quote me on that. And they play a lot of different folk shows that they curate, and hers is one of them. So her show's on Sundays on JFF locally, and then Folk Music Notebook, I think, airs digitally on Wednesdays.
So JFF is our local public radio station here in the Catskills. So.
Yeah.
So, The Price of Happiness. What inspired The Price of Happiness?
Yeah, I think it was funny because my first album was such like a creative outlet for me that I wasn't really thinking about other people listening to it. It was just very important to me that I...
Was it during COVID? The first
Yeah,
album?
it was, of
Right.
course. Everyone's like, oh, during COVID, I started this project.
Right.
That was me. I started writing songs, and it was my sister and me just making up harmonies and having fun. And she was like, well, we have to record it. So that was my first album. My second album, I was like, oh, crap, people listen to
People are
that.
expecting more.
And maybe I want to think about what I want people to listen to as well as what I want to say. So it was this really interesting moment for me. I was still writing, and I had decided to leave my corporate job, not as like linear as like I'm leaving to do music, but just naturally I knew that I was kind of growing out of the corporate path and was writing a lot of music. So I just kind of put my effort into the album, which I actually recorded before I quit my job, and then it had come out after. So that whole album is very much me coming to terms with the decision to step away from a corporate lifestyle and kind of pursue whatever is next and kind of get in touch with what feels authentic to me, because I think for a lot of people sometimes you get wrapped up in goals or expectations and you kind of lose touch sometimes.
And you were pretty successful in that corporate life, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going nowhere. This is a dead end job. This is a dead end career.
No.
You were actually doing really well in your corporate world.
Yeah, I worked very hard to get where I was, so it wasn't easy to step away. You know, it's funny you tell this story and it makes it sound like one day I woke up and left.
Right.
But
I decided I don't want
to.
to be there anymore. I kind of lived through that, hearing from you.
Right.
So it was a long process, and you had success. You didn't just drop a failed career.
Why don't you tell a little bit about what you did in the corporate
Sure.
world?
It's a very interesting path for me because I didn't study advertising, but I kind of fell into that world when I moved to New York. I mean, I needed a job. I literally took the first job that was offered to me. It was an internship at an ad agency, and I just completely got immersed in that world that I had never heard about before, really. I mean, this was before Mad Men, and even that is like a very skewed vision of what advertising's like. But I liked it. I liked the social aspect. It was a very social job. There was a lot of events I went to. It was fun and exciting. It was something I didn't learn anything about in my undergrad or high school. Didn't even know this job existed. So, I mean, for 10 years, I just really worked hard, tried to climb the ladder. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. So
you learned to fly the plane while you were building it.
Right, a little bit. But it's interesting, it's like, how do you define success? I think I was successful in a lot of ways. I, felt successful in terms of getting promotions and making money. But then at the end of the day, it's like, are you happy? Are you spending your time in a way that feels fulfilling? Mm. Are you proud of like the impact you're making? Or, and sometimes the answer was yes, sometimes it was no. And I think that was why it was so hard to walk away. But and I think when I left, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is it for me. I just knew I needed space. And who knows?
Well, you took skills with you, which you're obviously using today, that we will talk about more. Yes. But let's go back to the Price of Happiness and the songs that are on there. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the songs that are there, and maybe which one of those songs,
resonate the most with you.
That album, I think like it starts with The Price of Happiness, but then it goes into a song called Consider This My Notice, which was a song that I wrote and had no intention of actually putting on this album. And the day I was driving up to record it, I listened to like a voice memo of that song because I had like last minute, like, what am I not gonna do? And I listened to Consider This My Notice, and I was like, it's such like a cheeky, fun song that really explained exactly how I felt in the moment that I was kind of fed up and decided to leave for good. And so that song is just, I'm way more proud of it, I think, because I wasn't even intending to put it on, and I had to really think of the production, and I had to like edit the lyrics, like literally as I'm driving, I'm trying to like, this isn't safe, don't try this at home. I was like recording new ideas as I'm like driving to the recording.
If I live through this experience, then this is going on the album.
Consider this my notice to planet Earth. No, so that song I think is really fun. And then of course, Price of Happiness I chose it to be the title track because it is this kind of like defiant, like I'm gonna pursue authenticity moment. But that's how the album starts, and I think the album from there kind of becomes a little more complex because it's not that simple, right? You can't just ride off into the sunset being like, oh, I made this decision to be authentic and now I'm happy. Like, that's not how life works, and it is hard to kind of grapple with like your old identity and stepping away from a career that you've really poured all of your time in, and then suddenly you're not spending any of your time doing that. It's like an identity mess. Crisis. Thank you. I was looking for a good word for it.
And the arts are a scary thing to delve into too. It's not as simple ever as I'm leaving a career where they pay me money and I get a salary paycheck. To I think I'll just do art and play music. That is not a simple leap.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I was not naive. I grew up with a folk singer dad. I know that there are tens of dollars to be made in folk music, and I had no intention of like becoming a pop star, like mega act that would rake in millions. Like I just, again, it wasn't like I left to do music. So it was and it still is a very interesting, complicated time. But I think the album kind of explores a bunch of facets of trying to better understand yourself and your identity, not only with career, but how that kind of bleeds into other aspects of your life.
So where does, moving forward then with that, because it's such a complicated time, technology, and how do you use the growing and changing technology as you grow your own skills?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a complicated landscape from music promotion. I mean, it feels every single year between like Spotify and TikTok, the game and the goalposts are kind of changing, and how this industry used to work is so far from how it works now. And I, am not even fully playing the industry game in a lot of ways, but in some ways, you kind of have to some extent to have any sort of following, any sort of listener. Otherwise, you're really just making music for yourself, which is fine. But I think like I'm kind of still learning, but I think like the value of certain tech is actually really important to an independent artist that maybe wasn't available to us 10 years ago. I mean, when it comes to like TikTok, for example, you have the potential to reach a mass audience if you can market yourself or come up with a hook or a niche that resonates with people. So in that way, you're kind of given this chance to make your own way. In other ways, obviously, you're competing against everyone else on the planet who's trying to do that. And then, Spotify is kind of like a whole other social media platform. It's not really the same as radio. You kind of have to treat it like social media in some ways, just the way their algorithm works. And so it's definitely an interesting journey. I haven't cracked the code yet, but I'm working on it. And I also think technology in terms of like music production has impacted the way I'm thinking about making my music, because before I really didn't think about production at all. Like my first album was just me and my piano playing into a microphone, and my second album I produced myself. So when you're up against people who have big name producers and they're using the latest tech and voice effects and microphones, it's like from that aspect it's kind of an interesting.
Is that something you aspire to? Like, do you wish that you could do that and you don't, or you prefer it this way?
I think that I've been pretty intentional about giving myself the grace and allowance to do things as they excite me and not feel pressured or to like compare myself and feel like what I'm doing isn't enough, because that's such a slippery slope.
Right.
I wouldn't have done anything, right, if I held myself to the standards that like Taylor Swift's album was produced at. Like it's just not happening.
Although you did put out some Taylor Swift videos. So
right, yeah. I found very quickly that the TikTok algorithm rewards any mention of Taylor Swift. So, for better or for worse, my TikTok followers are Swifties. I like her a lot too, but her production, what is available to her and how experienced she is, for example, you learn things every time you make music. And so I'm just trying to introduce new techniques or ideas as they feel comfortable to add them and not overwhelm myself, because I also think it's important not to lose your own voice and invite like a producer in who has all these modern ideas but kind of overpowers you. And
because it's not about the commercial success, it's really about your creative art.
Exactly. And if you kind of lose what you were putting into it, you're kind of again going to lose your authenticity. So
so I think it's pretty incredible how you've taken the tools that you used in corporate advertising and are sort of using those tools with social media and all of that to be able to market what you're doing.
Yeah.
In your songwriting and all that.
Yeah, it's definitely always on my mind when I'm deciding to make content, and I definitely have like a struggle with how much I'm gonna let it really like impact what I'm planning, because it's like you have to let it be like a little bit of a job, so you're doing things that will resonate with people, but at the end of the day it's like I'm trying to stay creative.
You talked about the hook.
Yeah,
I know
right.
you've done some videos of instructing songwriting.
Yeah.
And is that something that you want to pursue more, or is that?
Yeah, for sure. I really love teaching songwriting specifically. I think it's one of the best ways to like learn about your own process is trying to explain it to someone else. It's fascinating to me that there's no right answer. Songwriting is not math because anybody could have like a different tip for you, and of course there might be tried and true things that have worked for a lot of people, but I think every time somebody is bringing knowledge to the table when it comes to songwriting, it's like a completely different way of thinking about it, and so that's really exciting to me. And I think sharing my own ideas and epiphanies about songwriting has been rewarding and clearly helpful to certain people online, and I definitely want to like pursue that more. I mean, with Theater Within, I was doing a bit of teaching through them, and definitely working on projects right now that will open more paths to me teaching songwriting.
So let's talk about that. Actually, the songwriting nights. First of all, that you're now doing at the Dive Bar. It's Dive Bar 106, is it?
Dive 106.
Dive 106 in New York City. Lee Seinfeld, who's one of our buddies, and I know that our friend Marty Plevel, who lives on the Upper West Side, actually made the introduction to you, to Lee Seinfeld. And why don't you talk a little bit about how that's evolved and what you're doing at the dive bars with the songwriting nights?
Yeah, it was kind of great because Lee's awesome, and he was really interested in having music at the bar, and he was very open and to the idea of a songwriter night, which is essentially an open mic but specific for original songs. So it's giving people that safe space to share their original writing, because a lot of open mics in the city, people are just singing covers and they don't always feel confident or comfortable to sing their own stuff. So that was kind of my vision for it, and he was open to it, and it's really grown. I mean, we used to do it once a month when it started. Now it's every Wednesday.
Okay.
And it's kind of attracted a really great network of songwriters who...
And do you bring those songwriters in, or do they hear about it, or how does...
a little bit of everything. I've promoted it and found, people brought them in. I sometimes go to other open mics and poach them. No, but it's kind of, you realize that there's this like living, breathing network of songwriters, and they go to, it's not that they choose their favorite open mic, they'll go to all of them, and they want music every night. And there are people who, live and breathe this stuff and want a place to like practice and network with other musicians. So.
Do you collaborate with them later? Like, how does that play out after a show?
That has happened a ton within the community. One person will show up and meet somebody who's trying to produce more, and people will find someone to produce their song because they couldn't afford it otherwise, and this person now has credibility and a resume because this person let them produce their stuff. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of band formation. People have come and met a singer and they're a guitarist and they don't really want to do vocals. Myself, when it comes to collaboration, there's like a group of women who we a couple times met to just share our songs, kind of song circle style, and talk about it from like what's working, what could be better, which is really helpful to me.
Like a book group. Except it's a song group.
Yeah, exactly.
Except maybe someday there'll be some major record producer, or I don't know if there still are record producers out there, but, that eventually maybe somebody will come along and be like, wow, that's a song or that's an artist that we weren't expecting.
I mean, it's honestly something new in that bar. Every week we had Shelley Piken, who's was a very well-known artist in the 90s, songwriter. She wrote songs for countless like pop artists in the 90s, and she kind of came in, and I don't think anybody really recognized her because she's kind of been this like behind the scenes artist for a lot of people, and she played a song and a couple of like her original songs, and it was just such a fun moment where people realized like who she was, and she was kind enough to like meet me for coffee and give me advice about how the industry works now, because she still is kind of plugged in, and she was talking about how much it's changed and from when she started. So yeah, I mean, you get a million people that you never thought you'd meet walking through that
That's
door.
awesome.
So, I mean, the way I see this is it's really your dad's song circles 21st century in some way, that
Yeah.
it's in your genes. Seems like, and you've kind of taken that ball and run with it in your own style, in your own way.
Yeah, I mean, for 2 years, like around, like coming out of COVID, I did do a song circle, quite like what my dad did, and just with a peer group. But I wanted to evolve it to an open mic night to get like a wider rotation and network of artists coming in, because, sometimes when you have the same group of people every week,
You can't grow the same
people
way.
do, or they kind of move on because they feel like they've gotten what they needed, there's only so much you can kind of do from like your own home, like inviting new strangers in every week. I don't know how my dad did that for decades. I didn't want to follow that path necessarily. I really love song circles, and I think that they're both important, so I don't think the open mic necessarily like fits that need in the same way, but it is like an evolved outlet for musicians to grow their voice.
So let's talk about Theater Within. So you've been doing the songwriting open mics at the Dive Bar, and then you were also connected with Theater Within, which I'm very proud to be on the board of directors of, and we're the organization behind the John Lennon tribute every year in New York City, which just happened recently. But we do these workshops in creative expression and mindfulness for the cancer community, and I know that you were introduced to Joe Raiola, and that you've been doing some work not only with the workshops, but also with helping us with advertising and marketing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that's evolved and what you've been doing there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember you guys introducing me to Joe and being like, well, Miranda did advertising for a long time, and she does social media.
We had a
Like,
Zoom
can you
meeting.
help? And, he's doing such great work. I'm so in awe of that organization, and I really just wanted to be involved, and I was so happy to have that opportunity. But as I got to know more about, like, what they do, I was like, hey, Joe, like, I really would love to lead one of these workshops. Like, I'm a songwriter, and I really have enjoyed teaching it. So I still help out with the marketing side of things, and I led a workshop with them, a virtual one, but in Chicago, the Gilda's Club, which is a community impacted by cancer, families, people recovering from cancer, or maybe they lost somebody to cancer, it was a similar format. I did like a kind of a songwriting 101 workshop, and then we went into kind of the song circle workshop where they'd bring in creative ideas or a couple lyrics or maybe a verse or a chorus or anything that they wanted to talk through. And it's a really rewarding workshop in so many ways for me to lead, not only just from like the songwriting standpoint, but the initiative of like giving people a creative outlet when they're going through arguably possibly the hardest time of their life, and that really resonates with me. So yeah, I mean, I really hope to work with them more in all the random ways, and it's been fun because I kind of get to play both sides of my identity with
finding the focus, right?
Yeah.
And then you
Miranda.
also got to observe the John Lennon Real Love Project, which is another project that the Theater Within does, bringing a songwriting program called the John Lennon Real Love Project into the public schools, and that's sort of how our STEAM Fund and I got involved with the organization. But I know that you were there in Pine Bush recently when we did the John Lennon Real Love Project there, and what was what did you take away from that?
Yeah, I mean, I was amazed at how well behaved those kids were. Fifth graders. I was like, oh man, me in fifth grade, I don't know. But
Or at least the people, the kids that were with you in fifth grade.
right, yeah. It was really fun to see that in action. I mean, Beth and Scott, who lead the program right now, they're such a well-oiled machine. Like what they can accomplish in an hour is amazing.
It's magical.
With 25 kids writing a song together. I mean, I know people who can't collab to co-write a song with one person.
So just in that hour, just so the viewers and the listeners know, within that hour, the students have watched had watched a documentary on John Lennon's life, and talks about his whole history from the UK all the way through the Beatles and then Yoko and his assassination. And so what happens in that hour is Beth and Scott first play a song, a Beatles song, a John Lennon song, come together, and then they talk about what they saw in the documentary, and after that they brainstorm to talk about how love and peace and kindness is in their school, and they end up writing lyrics to the song "Real Love," verses to the song "Real Love," usually a duple verse, and then they record it. They rehearse it and record it all within that hour.
Yeah.
All within that hour. It's magical.
And then it's produced.
Amazing.
The recording has John Lennon singing with them and playing with them.
The original tracks, which Theater Within has the license to be able to use the song "Real Love" as well as the original tracks of John playing piano and singing. So they get to actually sing. The kids actually get to sing and play with John Lennon, and a video is actually produced, and all the videos are on the theaterwithin.org website. So we'll have that in the notes too, in the description. So we'll have that link.
So that connection is going to have me circle back to our Liberty connection. What do you think it was like? What do you think that Liberty helped you with to grow the person that could have these musical skills along with your family, but some of that had to have come from your violin training and with Pat Lubin and Liberty School District and the community that surrounded you. Do you think that there was a strong influence?
Gary Siegel
as the director of music.
I never had the pleasure.
Of course.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, retrospectively, Liberty's music program was amazing. I remember being in elementary school and they brought all these instruments into Liberty Elementary School, and kids got to try them out and then decide which one they might want to play, and it was such a privilege, honestly. And I, growing up and having to do something I often complained about as a kid, but I did it, and it was same with piano lessons. I hated going to piano lessons. Now I'm just so grateful to have those, but it's very nostalgic now thinking about playing in the orchestra and also the theater program. I mean, they did 2 plays a year in Liberty, and even when I was in elementary school or middle school, I would try out to be in at least the chorus ensemble and the high school plays, and just having those extracurriculars. We also had art and sports. Just having that available is so important, I think. And
Liberty, New York, for those that might not know, is a tiny school. The school district has 2,000 K through 12, and it's a relatively poor community, and yet the opportunity for somebody to have essentially private violin lessons or private brass lessons or whatever instrument they're taking, along with this amazing theater program, to me, we can't know how much of that sparked your interest or your creativity, but you would think that has to be a strong influence, and it's something that Gary is the director of music. I'm really proud of him. I'm proud that he helped create that program and nurture that program. But you are certainly among the shining stars that come out of such a program, that you could take that and do something with it in your life is a very special thing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a privilege, and even I remember Pat Lubin, when I came back from Ireland, my friend Amaranth and I had learned like a couple of fiddle pieces, and she was so great about letting us kind of capitalize the class and teach that to everyone, so we could play something that was beyond the repertoire of like classical sheet music, and it was just inspiring to have that outlet and teachers that would kind of enable that creativity. And definitely grateful for Liberty.
So what would you tell your 16-year-old self if you were able to talk to yourself at 16 now?
That 16-year-old.
It's so funny. I honestly, if I were to tell, I really doubt 16-year-old Miranda would listen to a thing I had to say. I was so opinionated and confident. I don't know where I got it from, honestly, but I really was like, just knew what I wanted and who I thought I was. But I think like if I could force myself to listen to something, I probably would tell myself, well, I would definitely be like, hey, just check out therapy once in a while. It doesn't deserve the stigma that it has. No, but I think also just like giving myself that confidence that like creativity and like creative jobs exist, and math and English and science are not the only options available to you. Because I think like even though I had these extracurriculars in high school, I had all of these very limiting beliefs around what would actually become a career. And I think part of that came to just see like how much my dad, I don't want to say struggled, but he was not raking in the money from what he was doing in a way that was making me feel like it was a viable career option. I mean, I'm incredibly proud of his legacy and what he was able to do with solely just gigging. But I think like as a 16-year-old, I think I had that limiting belief that, I think I have to study math when I go to school. I applied to college as like a math major just because I don't know what I thought I would do with that, but I was like, this is like a respectable subject.
Helps you think.
Yeah.
Critical thinking skills.
But I think too late in college, I transferred my major like 11 times, not even exaggerating. And at the end of it, I had landed on like this television, radio, film major. And it was kind of my first introduction to like, there's jobs I haven't even thought about. And so I think I would like to open little Miranda's mind a little bit about that. But who knows what would have happened.
So, and what does success look like for you in 5 years? If you had to stop and think, where do I really want this to go?
Yeah, I think it's hard, right? Because it's not that it would be great to like sustain a lifestyle on creative projects, but I think more than that, in 5 to 10 years, I hope I'm still checking in with myself and making sure whatever I'm doing feels authentic and that I haven't in any way kind of landed back on someone else's agenda of what I think they think I should be doing. So I honestly don't know in 5 to 10 years what I want to be doing and specifically. I definitely hope I don't stop producing music. I want to be doing that. I don't want to be like touring the world as like a famous musician necessarily, but I would love to have some balance of producing music, still doing that for myself and connecting with others through my music, playing it at folk shows like I do now. And then I really hope to bring that kind of like teaching aspect more present in my life. And I've been working on a project that I'm hoping to launch soon. And I hope that reconnecting people with the art of songwriting, reminding them of the importance of like process over the product. I hope in 5 to 10 years I have kind of
grown that.
Yeah, grown on that idea in a way that resonates with people and inspires the next generation of musicians.
We are very proud of you.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of you guys, and I'm so thankful. I mean, you're asking me all these questions, and I'm like, they were involved in that, and that is why I ended up doing that. So it's been such a pleasure.
You spent a lot of time growing up even in our house.
I remember that 16-year-old self and that she wouldn't have listened. I know that.
Yeah, you guys were always so wide open, door
Always
open.
intent to be.
I'm very appreciative.
We're very proud of you. And if somebody wanted to find you and explore some of that creativity, where do they find Miranda Hardy?
Yeah, so you can just Google Miranda Hardy music, and then whatever channel you're looking for, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, or my website, mirandahardymusic.com.
Hardy, in case anybody needs to know.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for spending the time with us and talking about you and your stories. We really very, very much appreciate it. And, listen, the world is your oyster, I think, at this point. And as Judy said, we're so very proud of you and can't wait to see where life, continues to take you. So
thank you. And I'm in awe of you guys and what you've done, and I'm so happy to be involved in the STEAM Fund. So I love what you're doing, your mission.
Thanks.
Well, so once again, for our listeners and viewers, we encourage you to check out Miranda's music at mirandahardymusic.com, where you can access videos, photos, lyrics, upcoming shows, booking, and contact information. To learn more about the STEAM Fund, visit, follow, subscribe, and share. Those are the key words. Visit our website at steamfund.org, like our social media pages. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share these episodes with your friends. It's the best way to keep the music and the conversations going. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you will join us on future episodes of Full Steam Ahead.